Angry guy here, and Swedish feminists are furious Swedish men are importing Thai wives. Swedish feminists are furious Swedish men are importing Thai wives. Let's just go ahead and jump right into this article because it's quite revealing what's happening right now. Sweden now the country with the highest percentage of Thai wives. Quite something, isn't it? Sweden has emerged as the country with the highest percentage of local men with Thai wives or life partners, as well as a growing number of Thai workers traveling to Sweden as seasonal workers. The number of Thai women arriving in Sweden has increased threefold over the last 10 years. Over 80% of Thai immigrants to Sweden are relationship partners or Thai wives of Swedish men, and Sweden, like Germany, has a long tradition of men seeking Thai women as life partners. Germany. Sweden is one of a few countries where there is now a second and third generation Thai community, guys. Second and third generation Thai community, which still maintains very close links with Thailand. However, the increased levels of younger Thai women now entering Sweden has now become a political issue. Guys, this article is actually from 2012. And as they pointed out, right, the number of men importing Thai wives had increased threefold 11 years ago. Okay? So this has been happening now for over 20 years. For over 20 years. Last year, a female governor of one rural Swedish province requested that the government look into the situation, investigate, and perhaps even limit the number of Thai women permitted into the country. She has now been given a mandate from the Swedish government to investigate the trend, although government agencies and leading academics have also conducted a qualitative study into the nature of growing numbers of relationships between Swedish men and Thai women. Although Sweden portrays itself to be one of the more liberal countries in Europe, the Swedish government is concerned with this as immigration becomes a powerful and divisive political issue. In fact, the Swedish government has several issues to deal with. In spite of it representing its country as a liberal and progressive, Swedes has Swedes have been putting their government under pressure to investigate such issues as relationships between between couples who are of the same gender, the ordination of women as bishops, and the growth of the adult working industry in Sweden, including the large numbers of Thai massage parlors in Stockholm. Those lobbying the Swedish government highlight the number of Thai women who appear to be discarded by their male Swedish partners or seek help from Sweden's welfare agencies. Women's groups claim many Thai women have been subjected to unfair treatment by Swedish men. However, like Finland and Norway, while there are documented cases of not proper treatment, most relationships with Thai women and Swedish men are successful. Although there is no accurate data on relationship breakdown between Thai women who marry Swedish men, it is likely to be lower than the overall divorce rate in Sweden, which is now nearly 55%. The divorce rate in Sweden 11 years ago was almost 55%. One UK man living in Sweden estimates that over 85% of marriages between Thai women and Swedish men are successful. over 85%. Jim Henderson is a Londoner living in Stockholm who met his Thai wife, Papora, on Thai Love Lines in 2010 and now lives happily in Sweden. My wife loves Sweden. In spite of the cold, we are very happy. But I have heard stories of some guys on their third wife from Thailand. I have had to take my wife to the hospital, and the administrators insisted on having a translator for her when she first arrived, even though she speaks very good English. Guys, do you see how terrible it is? See how terrible it is? I think the authorities are right to be so protective here, but I'm concerned that some people have an agenda behind their concern for Thai women. I think they really want to reduce their population in the country. Although there is an undoubtedly concern for some Thai women who are married to Swedes or in long-term relationships, a new study by a Swedish academic institute into Thai women living in rural Sweden shows that Thai women do not fit the obvious stereotypes often portrayed. The survey finds a colorful picture of strong women working hard to make their new life in a very different country and culture. This is similar to studies carried out in diverse countries such as Finland, Germany, and Australia, where government agencies have accepted most relationships between the Thai women and foreign men are in fact bona fide. Jim says Sweden is a great country, but it's the same as all wealthy countries. There has been such a change in the dating culture and family life. I'm a professional. I had wonderful dating experiences with Swedish women, but I never married until I met my wife in Thailand. It never occurred to me that there could be something wrong with what I was doing until I had some comments from friends and started reading stuff on the net. Most times it sort of amuses me, but there have been times where I've gotten annoyed with the rubbish being thrown out there. In fact, increasing numbers of Swedish men are choosing Thai women to be their wives. Not only that, but immigration of both Thai men and women into Sweden is nothing new. This has been taking place for many years, and the Thai community in Sweden has been steadily growing over the years. There has not been a sudden influx of Thai women into Sweden, although the trend has increased steadily and sharply. Perhaps it has reached a critical level, or perhaps the key factor is that Swedish society is coming to terms with new political and social tensions. For instance, the Swedish berry industry has relied on Thais for many years, except for Thais picking berries under the temporary work visas. The Swedish berry harvest would be in trouble, right? So just like we have a lot of Mexicans who help us out in the Western society by picking our strawberries, we have a lot of Thais in Sweden who pick berries as well. And the berry industry over in Sweden would absolutely collapse without these laborers. This is a job that native Swedes apparently dislike doing, hence the decision of the Swedish government in 2007 to allocate temporary visas to Thais to help gather in this important harvest to the Swedish economy. Blueberries, lingonberries, strawberries, and raspberries, among others, have to be picked. Most Swedes regard the wages paid to be beneath them. The Swedish berry crops have to be picked, as in many Western countries, Swedes tend not to be interested in this type of work. Farmers rely on immigrants to carry out this work, and Thailand has tended to supply most of these for the Swedish berry crop since the 2007 visa agreement. In fact, 3,582 permits were given to Thais in 2008, and while many have claimed this to be very difficult labor for the Thai workers would disagree. Thais can make enough money picking berries in a season to buy a house back in Thailand. In one season, they can make enough money to buy a house back in Thailand. Their monthly income is more than that of a doctor in Thailand. Let me repeat this, guys. Their monthly income is more than that of a doctor in Thailand, and Swedes should not judge income by their own standards. Many berry pickers originate from the very poor northeast of Thailand, where the income these workers can earn is a fortune by local standards. Many return year after year because Swedes will not do the hard work for the same money. There is certain evidence in Sweden of unfair treatment occurring to Thai women traveling to the country. In spite of its liberal and progressive image, Sweden has a vibrant love industry with a reputed with a with a with a reported 190 massage parlors in Stockholm alone. There are stories of young Thai women leaving their families to go to Sweden with various men, and then they work in various trades of intimacy once they arrive in Sweden. In fact, the parallel business of humans traveling to satisfy these jobs, to fill these jobs, is often confused with growth and interethnic dating that's now been made possible by the internet. It has to be said, however, that there's anecdotal evidence of some Thai women who have been left by their husbands or were in relationship or where relations have broken down and then they've turned to working in such industries. The Swedish government has been very active in preventing this and is making efforts to inform Thai women in such situations of their rights and support them and let them know that support is available from government agencies. The Thai embassy in Sweden has recently announced a hotline for Thai women stranded in Sweden. This is part of an overall policy in this initiative taken by the Thai government throughout the world in response to huge increases in Thai women marrying foreign partners. And if we look at this comment from one person, he's Jim Henderson. He says, I think most responsible men who have Thai wives or relationship partners are deeply concerned at the sort of activity. I don't think it's the real story, and I think most government agencies already know this. The problem is, as I said, some groups want to tar it with the same brush. That's not funny when it touches you personally. But we just get on with it. What's really happening here, guys, is that these women are now furious. Okay? women in Western society, women in Western society, you know, they're simps. They're angry because they're seeing that men are walking away from what from they're walking away from Western women. They're walking away from those relationships. In Sweden, the most feminist country in the world, right? They look at what's happening. The men basically began walking away. They began walking away. They said, okay, this is the behavior. Okay, we're going to walk away. And what do the women do in this society? They begin calling for laws to reduce the number of women that are allowed to enter into Sweden. All right, and keep it. And it's crazy. I've already said this, guys. I've said this countless times. Go where you're appreciated. The same thing is happening in Australia. The same thing is happening in Germany, and now you have the passport bros and the passport Joes walking outside of Western society. I've talked about the Mouse Utopia project a number of times, but I'm going to just touch on it a little more again. I want you all to remember how the Mouse Utopia experiment worked. They took a group of mice, they put them in this utopia, in this big area where they had everything they needed, food and water. The only limitation was space. And the society grew rapidly. But once they ran out of space, and all the social roles were filled, eventually the mice stopped mating. And they had a group of mice known as the beautiful ones that completely avoided any relationships at all. Like when I say any relationships, they never even tried. And you could know this because there were no marks on their bodies and their coats were perfectly groomed. All right. And they would spend all their time essentially grooming themselves, eating, pooping, sleeping, and that's it. And they completely rejected social interaction. These were absolutely men walking away. And they even did other experiments where they took these group of mice, transferred them to another environment with other mice who had not been affected by this utopia, and these mice still refuse to socialize and reproduce, and they tried this numerous times. They found that the effects were permanent, and that illustrates that a lot of men will walk away and never re-enter the dating market or having children or relationships ever again. With the mouse utopia, after a certain point, the population began to decline, and the males stopped competing entirely. They stopped trying to reproduce. They stopped reproducing entirely. The females could no longer find a partner. What's intriguing about this is that you have to understand resources are not infinite in the real world. They're not infinite. So even in the mouse utopia, where they continue to have an abundance of resources, in Western society, it doesn't work like that. In global society, it doesn't work like that. Resources are not infinite, and when hard times come, will have to turn back to men. But men are not looking to enter into relationships. This behavior, this social trend that we see with men in Western society, is not going to be reversed anytime within our lifetimes. In fact, it's been shown that such things are impossible to reverse. It often takes a couple hundred years for change to occur, and by then nations have risen and fallen. It's what it really tells us is that the future may absolutely be one where the social structure that exists today no longer exists in the future. Men are done. And the saying is, go where you're appreciated. And men are tired of being disrespected and discarded. I made a poll where I pointed out that men are not simply devalued in society, they are despised by women in society. And a woman basically came on there and said that I'm a down low brother, and it's clear that I don't that when it comes to the feminine the fem the feminine the feminine of our species, I am not interested. When it comes to women, I'm not interested in them. And it was quite something else, because the moment that you say something, the moment that you talk truth about the relationships between men and women, this is what they do. They immediately go after you. They immediately start to say that you're not interested in women, or that you're batting for the other team, you're on the down low, and that you're trying to normalize. This is what she said also. She said that I'm trying to help normalize this type of down low behavior among men who go out and they get into relationships with women, but they're really down low. They're really down low brothers, and this is the type of shaming that they try to use, because they want to come at you. They want to come at you like this, and the idea is that they're going to blame you, they're going to shame you, they're going to humiliate you. They want to hit you at your core and make you feel bad. All right. And of course, there's a lot of men that just will literally say they don't care. But you have to understand, when you're consuming this content, when you're reading these kinds of comments each and every single day, it gets annoying. It really, really does. Because it's like what, men don't have feelings too? No. That's why a lot of guys just walk away entirely. That's why men walking away is so powerful, because it's men walking away from Western society, Western relationships, going overseas to find Asian wives and live lives that they deserve, that they want, with women who appreciate them. I mean, I've talked about Mayumi a little bit, and I made a video discussing her previously, and she said something very interesting. She's a pediatrician that lives in the United States. She's a Japanese pediatrician, so she's from Japan, and she lives in the United States with her husband. Her husband works for a security company, and she works in medicine. And it's very and she talked about a term. She referred to Western women as modern women as expired milk ladies, expired milk women, and it's so funny, because what's happening is these women are taking the men that black women didn't want, that white women didn't want. They're taking the men that these women, modern women, didn't want. I look at this comment that she left on one of my videos. She said, Interestingly enough, we went to a firearms range for a date, and I got to play with my husband's tools of his trade. It was so much fun, and we went to a Chinese restaurant afterwards and reminisced about all our experiences. Me and my husband are anime/manga fans, otakus. We even dressed up as Revi and Dutch for one Halloween. My husband knows what I like, and he even surprised me with the customization mole vest for Close Encounters. Yes, he referenced Aliens and Call of Duty. He's hilarious like that. Just to let you guys know just how old I am. So, because I am 40 now, but when I went to college, I went to college with lots of Japanese people. I went to college with a lot of Japanese people. I had a lot of Japanese, very close Japanese friends. I mean, even years after finishing school, they would come back from Japan and crash at my place. And even when I moved, I just always had a lot of Japanese friends. One term one term that they never allowed me to use was the term otaku, because the term otaku in Japan, it's changed now from what I've heard. It's changed now in recent years, where otaku doesn't have the negativity that it used to have. But 20 years ago, the term otaku was very, very negative in Japan, because it was basically a descriptor of, those guys who go to the anime conventions. And they don't shower before they go. Many of them are overweight. So it had a very negative connotation attached to it. And I've heard that it's changed now in Japan, but it's just so funny, because otaku in the West used to be so positive, like, oh, I'm an otaku. But if you went to Japan and said you were an otaku, it was such a negative thing. And I had literally had like Japanese friends condition the word otaku out of me. Like, otaku? Oh, you're an otaku? You know what you know what an otaku is? But that's just me reminiscing. That's me reminiscing, and I just find it really awesome that you know these that Japanese women are able to they're able to find happiness with the men that Western women didn't want. But then you have to look at it like how Western women are behaving, because Western women are absolutely furious. They're absolutely furious that they're absolutely furious that you know these women are taking the men they didn't want. And there is the there it is on the screen. So as you guys can see, like I said, she said, interestingly enough, we went to a firearms range for a date, and I got to play with my husband's tools of his trade. It was so much fun, and we went to a Chinese restaurant afterwards and reminisced about all our experiences. Me and my husband are anime/manga fans, otakus. We even dressed up as Revi and Dutch for one Halloween. My husband knows what I like, and he even surprised me with customized mole vest for Close Encounters. Yes, he referenced Aliens and Call of Duty. He's hilarious like that. The thing is that modern women don't have any business with these kinds of men, because they can't relate to them. They just want them for their money. They cannot have a good relationship. They cannot laugh together. They cannot watch television together. They cannot be together. There's no humanity between Westerners anymore, between Western men and Western women, because that door has been closed. You have to understand that modern day women, the streets are calling. And you're looking, for example, I forget if her name is T or Tamara Mowry. They're the same person, so it doesn't matter. But old sister, she was married to a very good man, and she said it. He was a very good man, and she got bored. She got bored in her marriage. She got divorced, went back to the streets, and she's been struggling on the streets. She's talked about how hard it is dating now in her 40s, you know, back out on the streets. And there've been other women checking her about this, like, you left your man for this, you left your man to go back to the streets. And she's been going on, like, getting angry on social media and trying to shame other women who confront her about her behavior. Like, for example, she's literally on there at 5 a.m. in the morning on Instagram posting rants about her relationships and her struggles. And women are like, what are you doing at 5 a.m. on Instagram, doing this type of thing? And she's there like, listen, you need to worry about your own life, boo, okay? You need to worry about your own life, okay? Because I'm living my best life, and blah 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 blah. It's like, you could see how salty she is. She's absolutely salty. These women who thought that they were better than their relationships, they thought there was something better for them out there, they find themselves with nothing. And this is another important thing to point out. Like, she left her husband, and it's like it wasn't really about money. She was bored. She was bored. You have to understand, guys, a lot of these women who get into relationships with wealthy men cannot be they cannot be happy with these men indefinitely, because they get bored. These men can be millionaires, billionaires, even trillionaires, and these men could never make them as happy as Chad and Tyrone will make them. Because you have to understand, these women view their beauty, they view their bodies as being more valuable than a man's money. And they literally say things like, you can't put a price on it. You can't put a price on me. I'm priceless. These women think that they're priceless. You ask them to rate themselves, they tell you that they're an 11 out of 10. They're an 11 out of 10. Like, what? It's absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane. How are you an 11 out of 10? Basically, what they're saying is that they are perfection. They are beyond perfection. 10 out of 10 is perfection. They are beyond perfection. All right? God made them to model, God made them as an example of what comes after perfection. They believe that they are truly goddesses. That's the honest to goodness truth. These women cannot pair bond. And like I said, the kinds of men that make these women happy, the kinds of men that make these women happy are Chad, Tyrone, Ray, Pookie, Quan, Enrique, these types of guys, that they find on the streets that don't love them. They want the men that don't even want them. They want the men that can never love them. I've said it once, I'll say it again. She finds her money. She finds your money to be less valuable than her looks. And she always will. So so the streets are calling out to her, they're screaming out to her, and she's gonna rush back to the streets one way or another, because the only thing she will never love you. I've talked about this in a video. She will never love you. She can love the things that you have, the things that you can do for her, maybe even certain things about you, like she might say, "Oh, I like that you're tall. I like that you're muscular," but she will never love you for who you are as a person. She will never love you. What are your thoughts about this, guys? Swedish feminists are furious. Swedish men are importing Thai wives. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away. And cheers.